Hello, I am Michelle Barone, and you are here for a moment of presence with Moksha Grace Coaching. So I am really glad that you are here today. And I want you to take a moment, say hi in the comments, let me know where you're from. And we're going to wait for a few more people to come on. And while we're waiting, I will let you know exactly who I am, what I do, and why. So I am a certified life coach, and I specialize in self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and life transitions. What does that mean? That means that I coach clients that are ready to acknowledge, identify, and disarm their triggers. They want to learn to manage their emotions better. And they're going to learn techniques that allow them to respond versus react, not the other way around, in uncomfortable situations. And you know what I'm talking about, those complex, critical conversations. After working together, my clients talk about having stronger relationships, better outcomes. In stressful situations, they are more relaxed, their career improves, everything improves. So my intuitive sessions and techniques inspire, motivate, and facilitate change for the clients that I work with. So if you want more details and you want more information, then I invite you to go over and visit mokshagrace.com. So let's see what we have going on in the comments. This would be a really good time that if you know somebody that should be here listening in today. Today's topic is about how a client went from, I'm such a nice person, I can't possibly say something like that, to really owning her power and sticking up for herself. But guess what? She's still a nice person. So we're going to talk about that. And I know that we all know somebody that's like that, don't we? So take a moment, share this video with them, get them to join us today. You don't have to tell them it's about them, but do something good and invite them here. Hey, Raymond, how are you? Hi, Krista from South Florida. All right. So also subscribe, like, and share like we talked about. And after today's talk, we are going to be over and Calm the Chaos for a after chat Q&A session. So if you want to join us over there, we would be happy to have you there. So as we do every week, we are going to do our moment of presence, and we're going to just kind of take a moment to bring our energy down and be in the moment. So we're going to do 3 breaths in, hold it for 3 seconds, and then exhale. All right. So big, deep breath in, hold it. 3, 2, 1, exhale. I know that this feels so good at the end of a Wednesday. Big deep breath in. Hold it. Big exhale. And one more. Big deep breath in. Take it a little bit more. 3, 2, 1. Big sigh. Exhale. Perfect. Isn't it amazing that just a few simple little breaths can just help to ground us and really get us into being, into the stillness, which is where we need to be. So I am going to ask a couple questions, and I want you to respond in the comments if you're not driving and it's safe to respond. So here we go. Truth. How many of you are nice people? How many? How many of you are nice people? Probably every one of you. At least I'm going to say that. How many of you have been called a people pleaser? Anybody? People pleaser? You want to make sure that everybody's happy, that you feel that that is your job to make sure that everybody is happy, or as many people as possible. Could that be you? And how many times a day or a week on average do you think that you use the term or start a sentence with, I should, I really should, oh, I have to do this? Slowly raise his hand. Yes, I gotcha. Absolutely. Well, guess what? I was like that my whole entire life. I thought that it was my job and my responsibility alone to make sure that as many people that I came in contact with every day, including my family and my children, were all as happy as possible. And that it was all on me to make that happen, that it was somehow in my crazy control. And guess what? That's not how the world works. We can't control other people's days. We can't control other people's emotions. We can't control whether someone is happy or not. The only thing that we can control to a point is our emotions. And that is by learning how to accept who we are, our triggers, and how to manage them. And really, the art and the mastery of this is learning how to respond instead of react. So it's really simple and easy to give in to other people's needs and wants and what they want from us. But when we do that, who are we ignoring? Someone really, really important. And if you can look in a mirror right now, that's exactly who we're talking about, is you. Because if you're not showing up as your best self in a situation, then you're not giving your family, your loved ones, your friends, yourself the best of you. What you're giving them is what's left of you, the leftovers. Seriously, think about that. Is that what you deserve? Is that what your family that you love so much, is that what they deserve? Because what are the side effects of the shoulds and the I have to and I feel obligated? What do you think those side effects are when this happens over and over and over again? Burnout. Yes, this is a huge topic. So yes, burnout, resentment, blaming others, adrenal fatigue, absolutely. Missing out. You know, there's the fear of missing out, but there's, how about the fear of missing out on our own goals? And poor relationships. Because when you walk in the door at the end of the day, after you've given all your energy to all these other things that you really didn't want to do, but you felt like you had to or you should, what else does it cause? There's shame, there's blame. What else? There's some big words in there. They start with D. They're pretty serious. Disappointment and depression. Because when we do things for other people out of fear of letting people down, fear of disappointing them, defeat, that's another big D word, yes. Unfortunately, all of this causes us to feel like we're not enough. So it causes low self-worth, low self-esteem. Anybody been there? When you show up like this, and you know when somebody walks in a room and they're feeling defeated, when they're feeling depressed, you can feel the energy in the air. It's just kind of hanging there, right? It's real heavy. So people feel your energy. And yeah, exactly. No, not at all. We talked about this in the Calm the Chaos 3 days that we did together. And, you know, when we don't take care of our energy, it's pretty similar to not brushing your teeth, right? You don't brush your teeth and you start talking to somebody and you're spreading that bad breath everywhere. And it's the same thing with your energy. If you don't take care of your energy, when you walk in a room, when you do anything, go anywhere, talk to somebody, even on the phone, what are they feeling on the other side? What are they receiving? Your stinky energy. And so that's why really taking care of yourself is so important, because then it opens up the doors to everything else that you really want to happen. And that's what so many people miss. They miss that point. You know, we all say, well, you know, put your oxygen mask on first. And, you know, because of course, that's what they tell you in the airlines. But really think about that, because that's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah, you can't hide your own energy, because energy is energy, and we are all connected. And so when you walk in a room, you bring your energy with it. And a lot of times your energy goes before you. So let's talk about observation mode. Okay. So just thinking about the last week or two, and just think about a moment when you did something out of obligation, out of the should, the pleasing other people. And think about how that made you feel when you were doing whatever it was that you had to do. Just think about it, bring it up, all the emotions, the thoughts, not because you want to absorb the emotions now and get into a dark place, but because we're observing, right? So let those emotions kind of come up for a minute, like a cloud passing in the sky. Okay, cool. Thank you. Who is making the choice to give into that should? Who is deciding to choose between the desires of pleasing others versus yourself? I'm not telling you to become selfish. That's not what this is about. But when you're doing something out of fear, it's going to feel fear-based. The energy is going to feel fear-based. And if there's anger, if there's resentment, frustration, then that goes along with whatever it is that you're doing. So I always like to use the example of baking a cake. Have you ever tried to bake a cake or bake cookies, but you're in a really crappy mood? You follow the recipe, but for some reason it just doesn't come out right. Your energy is going into that. And so you want to make sure that whatever you are doing, you're doing out of love because you want to. So I tested this theory because, like I said, I used to be a people pleaser. And sometimes I can still people please sometimes. I'll admit to that. It's a hard habit to break, especially when you get to see smiles. But the key is to change your mindset and your perspective around this. So I tested this, right, as I was saying. And in one moment time, I said, oh, I really should call, and we won't name the person. Oh, I really should call them. And I just didn't have the time. I wasn't in the mood. I had had just a challenging day. And instead of pushing through, I sat with it. I did a meditation. And I still didn't feel much better. I felt a little bit better, but it was still a should. And then the next morning I woke up and the sun was shining and it was just a new day. And in that moment, I wanted to reach out to that person. Now, if I had called the person when I was angry and frustrated, and not happy and feeling guilty because I really didn't want to call, what could that conversation have ended in? A big old argument. So sometimes taking the time back, taking a break, taking time for yourself, getting in a better space energetically, centering yourself, grounding yourself, can change the outcome of whatever it is that you need to do. Yes, food always tastes better when you make it with love. And that's exactly what we're talking about. So what I'm saying is take responsibility for your choices, because we all have choices to make. And if people are pulling you and you are feeling like you're just stretched too thin, you got to take responsibility for that, my friends, because it's on you on what you're saying yes to. And it's probably time to start saying no and saying yes to you more often. The really cool part about this is that when you start being accountable for your actions and for your choices, you give yourself time, you're happier, and you show up as your best self. You have more energy, you're having more fun, there's more space for that fun to come in, there's more space for happier people to come in. Misery does love company. So if you get rid of the misery, then what do you get to welcome into your life? If you're feeling better, you get to welcome in better, energetic feeling people. And I don't want to say better people, but their energy is going to shift because your energy shifts. So you don't have to leave people behind, but you don't have to drop your energy to be with other people. Does that make sense? So imagine, if you will, right? You're in a room, maybe it's a store, and somebody walks in and is just annoyed with life. And they don't have a lot of time to themselves. They don't believe in themselves. They're carrying a ton of guilt and blaming themselves for everything that goes wrong. And they feel obligated to the world. What do you think that is going to feel like, being the receptor of that person? Right? Not good. Not good at all. So imagine if you're the person working at that store and you feel like this. You think you're going to get a lot of customers that are going to walk up to you and just want you to help them? No, they're probably going to walk the other way, because your energy is putting up this like boundary, right? This like big wall. Don't come to talk to me. And we all know those people. Now imagine the opposite. Somebody who is managing their life. They have their chosen responsibilities. They've said yes to the things that make them happy. They choose to do things, even though they're not the things they might want to do, but they choose to do them out of love, caretaking of a loved one, or going to work. You choose to do these things. And when you flip the switch and say, okay, I have an option. I can choose to do this, or I can choose to not do this. But when you take the responsibility and the accountability for choosing, you feel more empowered. So you can choose to look at one thing one way, and you can choose to look at it a different way too. It's all up to you. Again, it's all about you choosing. So this person walks in, they're achieving their goals, they're doing what they have chosen to do. They're happy. They're maybe joking around with their kids. What's the energy of that person going to be when they approach you? And reverse. If they're the person working there, what do you think that you're going to receive when you walk in? Probably a smile and a greeting. Somebody who's happy to help you, in whatever it is that you're doing. But these are the things that make such a huge difference. Let's check the comments. Yes, a fun experiment. Even if you're skeptical about the power of focusing on positives. Yes, because when you see the green flags versus the red flags, when you see the positives, not just the negatives. Okay, we know that the world is crappy right now. But what are the good things that are happening in the world? Is the sun still coming up? We had 5 planets in alignment last night. The grass is still growing. People are still talking to each other. There's a lot of really good going on in the world. There's people helping people. And if you want to choose to watch the news and you want to choose to get sucked into it all, then okay. But remember, you're choosing it. So you can't blame the world that you're in a crappy mood. Hint, I haven't really watched the news much. Yeah, I kind of hear drips and drabs of things going on. But my secret is I don't need to know. Unless it's like right here, I don't need to know. Unless I can impact it right now. The only way that I can impact the world, anything that's going on in the world, is by keeping my energy as high as I can, by managing my emotions, responding in situations. And then that affects other people. They want to come up and they want to be in a good positive energy as well. And then you have a group of people, and then you have a community. So that is contagious. Forget about all the other stuff that's contagious. That's contagious. Be the positive energy that's contagious. That's what I'm saying. We all have stuff that we don't really want to do, but we still choose it, right? So it's about taking the responsibility. So how do you implement your empowerment of this? It's flipping a switch, changing your mindset, shifting your perspective. You know that game that we used to play probably in elementary school where we had to like talk about the opposites, right? Tall, short, long, short. I guess it's short too. But you get my point. Alive, dead. The point is that you might have a negative in your life. What can you find that's positive in it? If you didn't do it, what would happen? And if you can find the positive in that, right? Because you don't want that bad thing to happen. So I might as well, I don't want to really go to work, but if I don't go to work, I'm not going to be able to make money and I'm not going to be able to pay my bills. I'm not going to have electricity. And I really like electricity and I really like water and I really like the internet and I really like cable. So by going to work gives me the freedom to enjoy the things I love. Now the bills don't seem so bad. And you're choosing those bills. You could turn the cable off. You could make it easier for yourself. You could downsize. Or if you want a better job, then start looking. Go get a better job. But don't just sit there waiting for life to happen. You've got to make some decisions for yourself. Take responsibility. It's radical responsibility, but it's so much fun because then you get to direct your life. It's better for everybody around you as well. So, how many times have you tried truth? How many times have you tried to fix this on your own and you haven't been able to? Or you do pretty good for a couple months and then you fall back into the same routines? Truth. Yeah, a lot. And so what helped me is accountability. Exactly. Because when someone holds you accountable to the decisions that you're making, it's not about shaming and blaming. It's just reminding. It takes 30 days to break a habit or 30 days to create a habit, which is actually breaking an old one. So same thing, but see how it's two different sides of a coin. So you get to decide what you want to do. So when you're ready, I love holding people accountable. And that's what I do with my clients, is hold them accountable. And we work together so that it's not hard. It doesn't have to be. I was talking to a client the other day and she was having a moment. But you know what? The moment wasn't as bad as the moment 2 weeks prior. And it wasn't as bad as a month before that. Because she's learning how to respond. She's learning how to take a moment and take inventory of her emotions, where they're coming from, and how to move forward, because she's using the techniques. And it's really wonderful to see what's happening. So you get to make good choices for you every day. And you don't have to worry about hurting people's feelings or disappointing them, letting them down, or the big one, oh, what if I offend them by saying no? It's not your responsibility how someone else takes a decision that you make for you. That's on them. And I know that that is a very hard lesson to teach yourself. I had to do it. And it's the truth. You have to not worry about their emotions. That's theirs. It's their journey, and they've got to figure it out on their own. You don't have to fix everything. Isn't that great? That's the good news. You don't have to fix everything. You just have to take responsibility for you. So next week, we are going to really, really dive in deep into that, in why it's not your responsibility, and look at how we can shift our mindset and perspective around that. That's going to be a big one. Other people's emotions are not your responsibility. Just isn't. So if you are ready and you want the accountability, book a call. We can talk about how we can work together, or if we're even a good fit. But I guarantee at the end of the call, you're going to have some clarity regardless. Join Calm the Chaos. It's a wonderful community. It's a private Facebook group. Go over there, join it. There's Q&As. I give challenges. We have fun over there. It's not too much. It's not an overburden, but it is extra support. So think about how you can shift your mindset, shift your perspective on the things that you're doing, on the things that you've said before. Oh, I'm obligated to do that, or I have to do this, or I should do this. And if you can't shift your mindset or your perspective on that, then maybe it's something that needs to be a no. And that's okay. You're allowed to make choices and you're allowed to change your mind. So comments, everyone I know has needed accountability. Life is changing so much, and so is human nature. Isn't that the truth? So my friends, next week we're going to dive into why offending people is not your responsibility. And we are going to have an open conversation about that one. And remember, every day you get to choose on whether it's going to be a really good day or a not so good day. So choose wisely. And I will see you next week. And go over to Calm the Chaos group and join me now, because we're going to have Q&A. Talk to you next week. Bye.